of Reese on the radio. Whack FM.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
Yeah! What's going on, all you scallywags out there? Holla, holla, pop your collar. Just 2 days away. It's almost here. It's about to be time for Christmas. What's going on, GG? Hey, how are you? Everybody, hang out, chill out. It's going to be an hour long, so we're going to get all the news and all the views in as soon as possible. I am having every one of my Christmas shenanigans and tricks of the trade being completely abolished by my wife. Everything I am trying to do to thwart her and to confuse, it's falling apart, damn it. And I'm getting pissed off because I normally don't do this Christmas stuff, but I'm trying to do it right this year. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. The boys here. Ellis is in the house and in the building. I got to turn the volume up on this applause button. There we go. Let's get that up there. There we go. So we'll get into a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm just going to do some housekeeping. Reese on the Radio returns to WTIC on Thursday, so make sure you check us out there. You can always come here at reeseontheradio.com from 3 to 6 p.m. Just follow that banner right there. That tells you everything that you need to know. How do you like the new look? This is Reese on the Radio for the coming year. So I wanted to give you guys a preview. You can always go to the chat room. Just go to reeseontheradio.com. That's reeseontheradio.com to get to the chat room, and you can leave your comments there. You can talk to us about anything you want. Send us a message and all that good stuff. You can check out the stupidest thing I've read today. That is every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can check that out. White Mike is joining us. No, I am not enjoying all the tamales. I have eaten not a one tamale, and I am not going to eat a tamale because I don't like the tamales. It's just, I'm just not a fan. I just won't be eating them. By the way, White Mike, I meant to tell you, my wife came up with a great name for you. She came up with a great, it wasn't even a name. She's come up with a title for you, White Mike. And I laugh so hard. When I say I laugh, like she loves it if she can make me laugh. And I had to stop what I was doing when she said this, that your term, your moniker now is White Mike, Negroologist. And I think it is an appropriate name for you, my good friend. White Mike, Negroologist. It's like a paleontologist and anthropologist of the Negro. And that is going to be your term, and I can't wait to introduce you as such on WTIC. You will make those old white people lose their mind as you call in about subjects, stories about the Negro. Gigi, of course, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you liking the banner. Okay, so let's get into it. I got to tell you, if you haven't seen what's going on in the news media today, you have to ask yourself, what is all of this about? And it's so easy to tell what's happening in the news media today. Because believe it or not, there is only one story. Only one. It is the biggest and the greatest scandal of palace intrigue since Watergate. In fact, I would say it is more scandalous than any presidency in the history of our country. And that is the Wall Street Journal's article about Joe Biden, his faculties, his inability to govern, his missing in action, and dare I say it, folks, the shadow government that ran our country for 4 years. That is the biggest scandal that no one is interested in. But you want to know why I know that they're interested in it and why they're trying to cover it up? Here's why. It's because of this silly, silly story about Elon Musk running a shadow government behind Donald Trump before he's ever in office. Why would they be talking about it? Here's MSNBC's Tara Setmeyer. Listen closely.
How do you see the role of Musk in this incoming administration?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that Elon Musk feels as though he bought his way into being a shadow president here. He's been laying this foundation for quite some time. There was an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu a year and a half ago where they were alluding to him being a shadow president even then. So it's clear that this is a fever dream of Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world. So therefore, there's a certain entitlement. He invested a lot of money into Donald Trump. And it's clear that Donald Trump, we already know, A, doesn't like to be play second fiddle. B, he probably thought it was great in the beginning because of Elon Musk's popularity with Donald Trump's base. But now enough is enough. We've seen this pattern before with him and others who have way less influence and money that Elon Musk does get pushed to the side. So this dynamic is rather problematic for a lot of reasons. I don't think the American people decided to vote in an unelected billionaire to pull the strings.
Now imagine, why would anyone be saying all of this stuff about Elon Musk being a shadow government? Folks, you know why this is being said. It's too easy. All of this stuff is too easy. It's because Joe Biden wasn't running the presidency for 4 years. 4 whole years we had no president. Did anyone read this article? Did anyone read this article? You should have read it. Because I found very damaging things about this, damning things about this administration. But it's the most important one. And it's the stuff that was omitted from the whole story, folks. It was the thing that was omitted in everything. Let me lay it out for you. So Joe Biden, first 3 months of his presidency, he's got good days and bad days. They've got to cancel meetings. They got to script everything. And he can't stay on script. He can't seem to say the things that he's supposed to say that they keep scripting. And it's not like we didn't spend days and weeks and years catching him holding cue cards. Sit down, walk to your left, walk right. Wasn't like we didn't see all of that. We saw it. We saw every bit of it. Cameras were catching it, but no one wanted to talk about it. But we knew it was there. They said it was deep fakes. They said it wasn't happening. No, he wasn't talking to dead prime ministers. No, he was not shaking the hands of people who weren't there. Wasn't happening. But the Wall Street Journal article cites 50 people inside Washington, inside the camp, people who were Democrats inside, telling the dirty laundry, telling us everything. And guess what I found out in this article? It's the most important thing in all of it. The American people elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the president and vice president, respectively. And if old man Joe here was not able to fulfill the duties of president of the United States, it would fall on the weight would fall on the vice president of the United States. Well, guess what, folks? It's never mentioned in the article. At no time did anyone say when Joe couldn't do something or Joe couldn't show up or they had to put a lid at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon, even though he didn't start work until 10 a.m., not any place in this article did they say they left it to the Vice President Kamala Harris. Not once. Not ever. So today we had this huge scandal about these 30-something commutations of people who are on death row. If Joe Biden couldn't stay or couldn't work as president of the United States, or I was in a hard time keeping up the first 3 months of his presidency in 2021, who thinks that he commuted the sentences or the death row sentencing of over 30 inmates today? Who thinks he did it? Not a one. Folks, what we just witnessed and why it is such a big scandal is that we watched 4 years of our entire country being run by unelected bureaucrats who made the decision to withdraw out of Afghanistan. According to this report, it wasn't Joe. In fact, there was no coordination with Joe Biden. It turns out that some of the people who were handling the withdrawal out of Afghanistan couldn't even get Joe Biden on the phone. They couldn't even get him on the phone. Do you remember a year ago on New Year's, Lloyd Austin, the DefSec, the defense secretary, had the hospital come to his, or had an ambulance come to his house? And he told the fire department and the ambulance to not turn on the sirens or the lights, that he wanted to do it in secret because he had an emergency that he had to run to the hospital for. And remember when I said that how is it that the president of the United States didn't know that his defense secretary was incapacitated inside of a hospital? How is it that Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, while we are in a conflict, a proxy war in Ukraine, okay, a proxy war in Ukraine, it's only a couple of months after the events of October 7th, that the defense secretary is inside of a hospital. I mean, we're talking in a self-induced coma. And not once did the president of the United States go, hey, where's that big black guy who runs defense? Well, you know, what's a face? Bubba. What's his name? Lloyd? Yeah. Where's that guy? Not once. Did the president ever know? Did the president even remember? What was the president doing? Probably Lloyd Austin never called the president of the United States because he could never get a hold of him because he was never available. Who was Lloyd Austin reporting to? Who were any of the cabinet secretaries reporting to? Do you know in 4 years, Joe Biden held 9 cabinet meetings? 9 in 4 years. Donald Trump held 25, 24 at least, in 4 years. That accounts to about 1 every 2 months. Joe Biden had 9. And when he wouldn't meet with cabinet members, he would only meet with them in scripted meetings. That's the reason why recently we just had that cabinet meeting where Joe Biden had to sit in, because Joe couldn't handle it. It was a mess. That's right. Our entire country was on hold, Joshua, while Biden was asleep. That's the whole bit. The whole bit was he was absolutely out of it. Nobody knew where Joe Biden was. He was leaving at 4 o'clock. He was in at 10. He was out by 4. And on many occasions, he left early. He spent 40% of his presidency on vacation. And no one was supposed to say a word. So if you're asking yourself, why are we seeing all these people screaming and hollering about Elon Musk? It's simple. Because the biggest scandal is there was a shadow government taking place. And it was this last one. His Molly Jong fast, talking about, oh, it worked. It worked, saying that Elon Musk was the de facto president.
There's Elon Musk, and then there's just any person who seems to have the ear of the President of the United States, this much influence over the President of the United States, especially when America did not vote for Elon Musk. No. America did not vote for his misinformation. America did not vote for his big ideas. They voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and actually there's polling that shows that America's not such huge fans of Elon Musk, that Trump is more popular than Musk. Look,
say that one more time slowly for Donald. Kidding, go ahead.
I would say, I think that the fact that it made it into Donald Trump's jokes means that he's noticed it. And remember, Democrats were the ones who kept saying it's President Musk, it's President Musk, it's President Musk, so much so that it became kind of silly. But clearly, and I think Maxwell Frost, a member of the House, a young member of the House, mentioned this, that it actually sort of worked.
Yeah, they're really, really happy about that. They're saying they're constantly calling it, President Musk, President Elon Musk, saying that Donald Trump was the de facto vice president. They were like, oh, it worked because Donald Trump said something about it. Okay, good luck with that. Yeah, but that's where they are. So all of this was a complete sham. But this is the one that I want to show you. General Milley. I want you to watch this, folks. Watch this. You're so right, Rama. They played Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years, and they have the nerve to do this. Yeah. Watch what you're about to see. Now, folks, I'm going to set it up. So if this were in a courtroom, I would be accused of leading the witness. But I have to make my point. But tell me if you don't see it. On 60 Minutes, General Milley was asked about Joe Biden's capacity to govern, to be president of the United States, as rumors swirled that he just wasn't up to snuff. I want you to look at Mike Milley's face and tell me if you are convinced by his answer.
Tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine. How people interpret that is up to them, but I engage with him frequently and alert, sound, does his homework, reads the papers, reads all the read-ahead material, and is very, very engaging in issues of very serious matters of war and peace and life and death. So if the American people are worried about an individual who is someone who's making decisions of war and peace and has access to, makes the decisions of nuclear weapons and that sort of thing, I think they can rest easy.
Do you believe him? Do you believe him? Because according to this, now, first of all, homeboy should be court-martialed. What happens to him, I can't wait to watch that. But I say he's saying a lot. What's that line in True Romance? It sounds like you're telling me everything, but you're saying nothing. Here's it. He's trying to convince, and he's just over-talking. Bushwhacker says, does his homework. Is it third grade homework? He suddenly shook his head. No, he said Biden was fine. Yeah, he's not fine. They knew he wasn't fine. No one did. Chris Coons knew he wasn't fine. Jim Clyburn knew he wasn't fine. Now, on Thursday, I'm going to have all of the audio and video that I have gathered in the last 4 years. Every time Joe Biden would pull a gaffe, and then the news media would come back and say, no, everything's okay. I've got it all. It's the supercut of all supercuts. And the reason why they're avoiding it is because they know the Matt Gaetz report that came out today, the shadow government of Elon Musk, all of that stuff is about steering clear of this story about Joe Biden. This is the biggest embarrassment ever for them, and they know it. So we'll get into that. Michael B. in the house. How you doing, sir? I'm also going to do this series. And I think it's important that we do this up until the midterms. And I'm going to try to accumulate this. I think I'm going to work it out where I'm going to accumulate this audio and video once a week. And I'm going to try to set it up for every Friday on the show. And that is how Democrats are going to be Democrats. Now, I want to read this article. Let me read this here, and forgive me for this, because this is it's a little lengthy, but it's from the New York Post. It says, troubling new research for Dems finds that the party's woes are much deeper than the 2024 election. Democrats around the country are still licking their wounds after last month's stinging election defeat. But the party might be sailing towards an even bigger iceberg. New research from progressive polling outfit called Navigator Research shows that the party's reputation is in tatters, even among previous backers, who have come to view the Democrats as weak, obsessed with woke initiatives such as DEI, and overly accommodating to the elites at the expense of the middle class. Quote, they're not a friend of the working class anymore, a respondent wrote. Navigator at one point asked participants to compare the Democrat Party to an animal. One likened them to an ostrich for the obvious reasons. They've got their head in the sand and are absolutely committed to their own ideas, even when they're failing. Now, that's an important part about this, okay? Let me read that one more time. One likened them to an ostrich. They've got their heads in the sand and are absolutely committed to their own ideas, even when they're failing, is what they wrote. Now, Joe Manchin was on CNN talking to Ranu Maju about the new progressive leader in Congress. And the new progressive leader is a Democrat from Austin, Texas. His name is Greg Caesar. Now, Greg Caesar, which goes to this, what is it that Democrats are saying? This was a poll about Democrats from Democrats. And they asked, what's the biggest problem with your party? Their heads in the sand. They, again, not for the working class, and they stick to their own ideas. Here is Greg Caesar, who has been nominated to head the progressive wing of his party. He is the progressive chair. You know, like the national, what is it? The Congressional Black Caucus has a chair. This is the progressive chair. He's the guy. Listen to Greg Caesar talking about progressivism and voting.
We have to make sure that we lean in on, as a party, those issues, like the progressive issues on the economy, where we have 70 and 80% of voters agreeing with us. We should be able to try to persuade people and move people on issues where maybe we don't have 50% support in the country yet, and instead work on that kind of persuasion and bringing people along. Look at the issue of gay marriage, for example. Right? Barack Obama, in his first election for president, wouldn't come out, for example, for gay marriage, but the Democrats worked on moving the country on that issue so that at this point it is overwhelmingly popular. So I think we need to be able to differentiate, honestly, between those issues where we have the overwhelming majority of the country with us, and we should fully lean in on those issues.
So, and he brings up gay marriage. Of course, he omits the most important part about that. One, Barack Obama was forced. His hand was forced to support gay marriage in this country because Joe Biden leaned in on Meet the Press with Tim Russert a week before. Well, actually, it was the Sunday before. So he literally pulled the rug from under Barack Obama, forcing Barack Obama to have to lean into gay marriage, even though he had been against it his entire life. So Greg Caesar's wrong there. That's not how gay marriage became popular within the country. No one ever had a problem with it. Gay marriage was only became law through the Supreme Court, not through elections, my friend, which again shows exactly what this says. One likened them to an ostrich. They've got their heads in the sand and are absolutely committed to their own ideas, even when they're failing. Let's go one step further. Joe Manchin, as I mentioned, was talking to Manu Raju about Greg Caesar. Manu Raju asked him this question that Greg Caesar said in an interview.
Okay, this is from the incoming chair of the House Progressive Caucus. He says, if the Democratic Party was a little more like Chairwoman Jayapal and a little less than Joe Manchin, I think we would have won this election.
They'd have lost. They got to be nuts. For someone to say that, they've got to be completely insane.
Right.
They went, the people in America voted, they had that opportunity, to vote with Kamala Harris and with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, not much hasn't been said. You know exactly what you're getting. He hasn't made any bones about it. But you might say that's too far right, okay? If that's the case, then why did they go too far right when Kamala was trying to come back to the middle a little bit, okay? And they're saying if Kamala would have been who she always has been, pretty far to the left, it'd have been better for her. That's crazy.
But they don't seem to care. They're saying that the party should be more like Jayapal and less like Joe Manchin, who's, again, middle of the road. Again, defying all odds. They see nothing. They see nothing. But, folks, this is where it gets worse. Democrats are going to be Democrats. Here's former Democrat, I guess Democrat Congressman from Illinois, Joe Walsh. Listen to this, bozo. Again, they know that Kamala Harris and the never-Trumpers, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, George W. Bush, all of them, those folks got this election handed to Donald Trump. But what does Joe Walsh say? He says this.
I mean, this is really easy. You either believe Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy or you don't. Clearly, Brett Stevens doesn't. Clearly, by the way, John Fetterman doesn't. Chill out. Chill out. With everything Trump is doing right now, Eamon, it just freaking pisses me off. And I like a lot of what Fetterman has said about other issues. But when somebody tells me, a never-Trumper, somebody who tells me who believes Trump is a threat to democracy, to chill out. When, as you said at the top of this hour, that Donald Trump led a violent attempt to overthrow an American election. I will never chill out as long as that's the case. We normalize this guy, Eamon, Trump, at our own danger. He's told us he wants to be an authoritarian. He's told us he will imprison his political enemies. He's putting people in charge of our security and law enforcement apparatus to go after his enemies. There's no effing way I'm chilling out in the face of that.
I don't know what's into these people. And I'm starting to get this impression. These people, I mean, do they think that they're some sort of superhero? Like, what does Joe Walsh think that he can do? Other than scream and pull the rest of his hair out. Like, what does he really believe that he can do? They've taken upon themselves to say, I can't stand by. Like, what do you mean you can't stand by? That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to hang out there in that weird bedroom of yours. And I don't even know what that shot was about. But you're going to hang out there and that's where you're going to be every day. You're not going to be out in the front lines. Like, what are you going to do? Be outside the White House? Are you going to be holding like picket signs or something? Like, what are you really going to be? You're going to go on television and you're going to bloviate to an audience that doesn't exist. That's what you're going to do. No one's going to. What do you think you do? Are you nuts? The mainstream media's whitewashing has become very transparent. It's kind of sad, to be honest. I think that these people know the writing on the wall is there. This is like a last-ditch effort to be relevant to people who've lost and have kind of lost interest in listening to these people bloviate. It's really, look, in the coming days, and we've got the holiday to deal with, I think that as early as January 6th, and if I get this right, let me make sure I get the date or the day of the week right. Let me go over here, look at my calendar. Let's go. Yes, I want to say as early as January 6th or 7th, which right now looks to be about 2 weeks away. I think we're going to see an onslaught of negative press about Joe Biden's presidency. I think that what the news media is about to do, and if Donald Trump plays his cards right, sit back quietly, don't make any phone calls, don't do any press conferences, just chill out. Because what has to happen, there are two very important things that have to happen in the coming weeks. Aside, well, like once the holidays are over. And this is important to the Democrat Party. It must find its relevance again. So they know that on Inauguration Day, if there's a protest, it'll be minimal. The news media will try to blow that up. Let's say it's 100 people. They'll make it look like it was thousands. There won't be that march on Washington with the vagina hats and the Madonnas screaming, I wish I could blow up the White House. None of that stuff. It's not even going to be that close. People won't even care. And if it gets too cold, nobody's going to be outside anyway. So I almost feel like that's, they pulled the pin on that. All the air is out of that bubble. So the news media is not going to get a lot of pushback on Donald Trump. So with that, here's what happens. How do Democrats recover as legitimate contestants politically? They know the biggest problem they have is the cover-up of Joe Biden's faculties. That's going to be the story everyone's going to talk about after the holiday. The question's going to come up. Peter Ducey's going to ask. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. Yes, Walsh was a Republican from Illinois. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. He did. I think he didn't switch parties. But I think he started sucking the teat of Democrats or something like that. But anyway, so they've got to get their credibility back. So two things they'll immediately do. One, throw Joe Biden under the bus. The more and more he becomes irrelevant and not seen anywhere, they'll have to wash their hands of him. They've got to get all of his whack juice off of them. Because again, Joe Biden is the mainstream media. I mean, even worse than it was for Barack Obama. They are one in the same. So they have to wash him clean. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, they don't want any parts of her. But they could get rid of her easy. Really, really easy. And that's just ignore her. Anytime she does a public event, they'll probably point out that she sounds a little incoherent. They've got to destroy her political career. That's coming, without a doubt. Kamala Harris can run for nothing. People keep talking about the California thing, like she could run for governor. I don't think that's happening. And not only that, the worst part is that in order for her to do that, she's going to have to run on the Latino vote. That's not happening. And the white vote. That's not happening. And there's no such thing as an African-American vote in California. There are only 2.5 million there out of 38 million. So that's of no consequence. So she's got nothing going on there. Gavin Newsom will be working on 2028, and whatever he endorses turns to mud. So don't ever worry about that. So Kamala Harris is dead in the water. And people want her out of the news cycle faster than ever because every time she's on television, she looks worse. And they need to get rid of her. So that'll be the wrap. Joe Biden, same case. Every time he's on camera, he pretty much just emphasizes, oh my God, Joe Scarborough thinks he's the best he's ever been. That's always going to ruin him. So they've got to get rid of him too. Who's next up? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not their saving grace. Gavin Newsom, for them, a lot of Democrats today are saying he's likely to be the nominee. But I'll tell you, inside Beltway, Gavin Newsom appears too greasy. Their words, not mine. He appears too greasy for the job. I don't know why that is, but that's what they're saying. So they have to find somebody. So they're going to ignore that race for the next 2 years. They won't start talking about who that nominee is until 2026. So they've got a year. They've got a campaign for the midterm elections. Right now, they've got to really push my favorite guy, and I'm really rooting for this dude. So the next year, they are going to be promoting my favorite interpretive dance instructor, Hakeem Jeffries. Democrats were here to save democracy and keep democracy strong. MAGA Republicans took the world and turned it upside down so that we, as Democrats, could save them from themselves. I don't know why he talks like that, but it bothers me. Every time I listen to him, he does these hand gestures like someone, like he looks like there's a really bad marionette controlling him and making him do all the wrong maneuvers. If you ever watched him, I'm going to have so much fun with that guy. So they want to promote Hakeem Jeffries as like, you know, he's going to be the new Speaker of the House when Democrats take over the House in 2026, allegedly. And Hakeem Jeffries is going to be the biggest, I mean, we're talking the biggest mouth on the Democrat side, which is why I know that they are never going to abandon what they believe in. They can't. They are never going to abandon their leftist, DEI, woke ideology. They can't. Was it exclamation Jeffries? Yeah, it's everything about him makes he makes me sick with the way he moves around. It's actually annoying as all hell. I can't deal with it. Wait a minute, it's 8:38. I thought Reese was off till next week. Spawn, I am back on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday at 3 p.m. But I promised everybody I was going to be doing a show tonight. I'm not going to be doing one tomorrow because it's Christmas Eve and you guys should be with your families and going to church. Okay, but I'll be back on Thursday. So yeah, it'll be this week, but on Thursday. So you guys will enjoy yourselves, have fun, and have a Merry Christmas. So Spawn, thank you for showing up anyway. Anyway, Bushwhacker says maybe it's a form of sign language. Yeah, it's bad sign language. Hakeem Jeffries. I was going to get to, thank you, John Beckman. That's another thing that's really going to hurt Democrats in the next 28 days. And that story right there. John Beckman's talking about the illegal aliens set the woman on fire at the New York City subway. This is really going to this is going to really be that thing. And here's the part that always makes me crazy about all of this. And I'm going to sound kooky here, so forgive me. I really, really do believe that something is happening in the world beyond us that is setting things up almost like the perfect, like 7-10 split at a bowling alley. And I think that there's just one perfect pitch of the bowling ball that's just coming in and bow, just because right now, the conversation about the new border czar, Tom Homan, coming into sanctuary cities to get out violent felons and violent illegals, gang members, sex traffickers, human traffickers, labor traffickers, and getting pushback from guys like J.B. Pritzker and Byron Johnson, or Brian, whatever his name is, in Chicago, Kathy Hochul, to all of these people who are saying that they're going, Gavin Newsom, all saying that they're going to put things in place that keeps Tom Homan out of the state and keep police officers from aiding them and getting these violent people out. And then you get a story like this illegal Guatemalan who was deported under the Trump administration and then snuck back in under the Biden administration. It's just one of those things where perfect strike, boom, comes out. And the rest of these people who are in opposition to removing these people are caught in this sort of jam where the media has to go, you guys said that crime is down, but, Kathy Hochul, she sent out a tweet almost like divine intervention. She puts out a tweet talking about how the subways are safer, and then this video comes out of this guy setting a woman sleeping on fire. It couldn't have been timed more perfect. So you see all these people, and if you listen to me on WTIC, I spoke to New Haven Mayor Justin Elliker, when he's talking about how people need to get to know their neighbors. He believes it's more incumbent on the people who live in New Haven to get to know the illegals who live in their community than it is on him to know who it is who's a criminal alien in his own city. When I asked him that, he said that you want to know who they are? Get to know them. You're the one who's protecting them. Shouldn't you know who they are? And as we know, a lot of them are doing things that are even far worse than just setting people on fire. We're talking about actively working with slaves. Yeah, I know. I really do expect, I expect a lot of changes to come very, very soon. So I think a lot of attitude is going to change on these mayors and these governors as well, because I think that the violence is going to get worse. And here's the reason why. And I'll break it down like this. When you have criminal aliens in these places, these cities and these states, who get the impression from governors and mayors that they are actively working to stop Trump from removing them from their cities, you are giving them license to do what? Commit more crimes. They don't immediately say, hey, let's work in concert with the mayors and governors and, stay on the low profile. These guys got crime to do. These guys got sex trafficking to sex traffic. These guys have got kids to exploit and labor to exploit. They feel emboldened by the governors and mayors who are going to protect them and keep ICE out of these cities. They're going to keep continuing with their criminal activity. It's the same thing with the illegal gun owners in Chicago, right? The gangbangers with the Mac 10s and the Mac 11s. If they know that the city is going after law-abiding citizens by changing the law, those people feel sheltered. They feel protected. Well, I ain't coming for my gun. They don't know I have it. They're not cracking down on the guns that we have. They're cracking down on the guns that you have. And they know you have them because you're the one who stupidly registers them and tells the state that you have them. Not us. So as this starts to go on, and it starts to grow and it starts to fester, these guys, it's not like they're gonna keep a low profile. Shh, be quiet. Tom Homan's coming. Shh, don't. No. They know that Kathy Hochul, they know that J.B. Pritzker, they know that Byron Johnson are out there protecting them. So they're going to pretty much act with impunity. Continue to do what they're going to do. Ain't nobody
Discover
coming
your
for
new
us.
Hyundai right now at Principal Hyundai Bernie.
I don't even
Like
know
the
what the hell that was.
2025
My
Hyundai
bad.
Ioniq 6. Finance for $460.
Sorry. That was a commercial. That just popped up out of nowhere. My apologies. Spawn says it's a liberal way to keep decisiveness going on a different level. Yeah. Michael B says, Reese, you should watch everything that's going on in Waterbury, Connecticut. It's like the Wild West. I am watching it there. I know it's crazy there. Yeah, I'm with you, Bushwhacker. I'm hoping that the federal funding does dry up. I mean, again, what's the only way to get these people to behave, right? You got to take everything from them. And the most important thing that they love is that federal money. They love taxpayer money. And you got to dangle it over their head. Come out wherever you are. Yeah. You want this $1 million? Let's see those illegals. It's like holding them ransom. It's like, hey, Justin Elliker. Yes, it's Tom Homan. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, listen. We got $1 million in funding for your schools. Just let out the illegals. Not just the criminal ones. Just let them out. Yeah, no, let out all the criminal gang members. Yeah, all of the Army-aged men. Get them out. Yeah, come on. We'll give you everything you want. We got a helicopter. Got a jet plane that's all fueled up for you. Just bring them out. That's what you got to hold these people up. That's what you got to do. You got to negotiate with them. We got to call Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey from the negotiator to get them out. Just tell me what you want. All right, okay. You don't want to play ball? All right, turn off the lights. Yeah, the air conditioning too. You don't want to bring them out? I got you. That's all right. No, we're not bringing any pizza. No, you don't get nothing. You're starving there. All of you. You don't want to let them out. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would hold them out. Man, so would I. But Rama, you and I both, you talk about wishful thinking. Rama says, I'd like a perp walk of the governors who resisted. Mayors too. I'd love to see them all. It'd be so fantastic. Damn, it would be so fantastic. What are you going to do? You're never going to see these people. You're never going to see these people pay. I want them all to pay. Anyway, what is this? John says, I'm so sick of the talking point of liberals who preach family separation when it comes to illegal. Sorry, folks, when an American is arrested, they are separated from their family. Sorry, folks don't give a crap about compassion. Yeah, and that's another thing I don't seem to understand about the whole, separation of families. It's like caring more about their families than they do about anyone else's. And I love Tom Homan's response to that on Capitol Hill to AOC when she talked about family separation. He was like, if I was picked up on a felony, they'd separate me from my kids too. She didn't have an answer for that. It's because she doesn't give a damn about those people. This is a political, these people are politically expedient for me to stand on their backs while I pat myself on mine. That's how that works. We could all line up and clap as they go in. We could slow clap them too, Spawn, like they do in the 80s movies. We can slow clap them until it turns into a thunderous applause. That would be great. All right. I got to get out of here. It's another day, another dollar, and I will see you folks back here on Thursday. So don't, forget, this is the new set. This is how it's going to look. You just saw it, how the format of the show will go, right? So we've got video and audio and all of that stuff. And, I don't even know what to tell you. It's pretty much, I worked really, really hard this weekend to get all of this for you. It seems like it doesn't take long to do, but it does. Like, I have got to painstakingly go through this and testing, and it takes hours to do, but I knew I was going to do something to change this thing up to something that I would like and that you would respect. So I hope that you do. and I hope that you'll tune in. I will say this. Next month is a very important month for Reese on the radio. I just want you all to keep your fingers crossed because we will find out, I'm assuming in due course, and it could be as early as 4 weeks, maybe even 3, we could find out the future of Reese on the radio, if it's not going to be here or if it's going to be in general. But I want you to, keep your fingers crossed. If you want to know what I'm talking about, make sure you go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com and listen to the latest installment of the Reese on the Radio show on Sunday. So pay close attention to that. It's the last break of the show, and you'll hear about my Christmas wish, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So in order for you to find out what that is, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, listen to the podcast. That is my Sunday show commercial free. Well, not commercial free, but it's got a couple of ads in there. But you can check it out. So in the next coming weeks, we're thinking maybe 3 to 4 weeks, we will know what the fate of or the future of Reese on the Radio holds for the next year. I believe that 2025 is going to be a good one, or at least my wife does. So fingers crossed, nonetheless. But no matter what happens, we will be here. All right? And we'll be here on Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m. on the East Coast, noon till 3 on the West Coast. I love you, folks. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the Radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow, and we'll see you back here Thursday, okay? 3 p.m. All right? You guys be good. And I think if I'm going to do this right, I think I need to do that. And there we go. Okay. Now that makes sense. Okay. See y'all.